Yes, everybody, welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. Or, of course, if you are watching on our fast-growing YouTube channel, even during the off-season, still gaining some subscribers over there, which is really, really awesome to see. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, THI publisher Andrew Jones. And AJ here for yet another episode of our UNC Football ISO Series podcast. Been rolling out all throughout the off-season. Going to be focusing on UNC wide receiver Antoine Green in this edition of our podcast series. But before we dive into that, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our most common sponsors, and I guess you could say one of our favorite sponsors on here as well, Rogue Shop. Check them out.
They're all our favorite. Let's be careful. They're all our favorite.
They definitely all our favorite. Rogue Shop.
Just that we do a little bit more of hit. Pardon me, Rogue Shop.
Rogue Shops were they the first? I'm trying to.
No. MyPerfectFranchise.com was. We're going to get them all in on this podcast.
Yeah, we can blast all of them.
Yeah. By the way, if you need a career change, if things aren't happening for you, go to My Perfect Franchise. Contact Andy Ludicky. Tell him THI sent you, and you get some great information. But he was the first one in this latest wave, and then it was Rogue Shop, and we've got Fan Box, and we've got opening day game, and all kinds of stuff. And we're still looking for more. Yeah. Our recruiting show podcast, we're looking for sponsors specifically for that. And so we got a lot more room. So if you're interested in hopping aboard, I didn't think we were going to do this. This is really
this is off the top. It's impressive, right?
This is shameless and shameful. If you're interested in advertising or know someone who might be, contact us at Heel Illustrated is our Twitter handle, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you can find a link to our Twitter below in our description as well.
That may have been the low point of my career.
You got to do the same.
I should just hold up a sign. Advertise with us, please.
Please, yeah, exactly. But back to Rogue Shop. Check them out at therogueshop.com. If you guys watch our podcast and have been, you've probably heard us blast the Rogue Shop many and many times. They specialize in top shelf family grown hemp products. Whatever you're into, Rogue Shop's got you covered. Make sure you use that promo code TARHEELS10 to save on your order. Link to their website will be in the description below. But like AJ said, we love all our sponsors, man. All of you, each and every one of you are absolutely fantastic. If you want to come join, hit us up and we'll make it happen. All right, AJ, let's dive into Antoine Green on this one. Guy that's been around the program for a long time. AJ, a guy that's been around the program and was around the program before I started here at Tar Heel Illustrated. I started towards the end of that 2018 season. That was his true freshman year. Can't really say that about a lot of guys on the roster right now. True freshman year for him at 18. Yeah, pretty wild, right?
His injury at Syracuse was about a week before you joined THI.
Yep. Yes, it was. So you can't really. I had to throw that in there.
I bring that up a lot too because at Syracuse they don't need a closed press box because it's all indoors, so it's an open air press box, if you will. And when he got hurt, I'll just never forget. It was almost in line with where I was in the press box, looking down on the field, and you could tell it was pretty bad. And I think it's kind of cool that his kid's still there. He's persevered, and here he is, ready for his 5th year at Carolina.
Yeah, a guy that's taking advantage of that COVID rule as well. True freshman year in 18, and obviously had his senior season last year for Carolina. AJ, I want to ask you this: when you like I said, you obviously were there.
Theoretically, I guess he could have gotten a red shirt, I think, that first year. I have to go back and look, to be perfectly honest.
He played 5 games that first year, I believe.
Played 5 games,
but medical red shirt can get a little,
Yeah, because of the injury and stuff like that, and it really affected him moving forward. So, the way things are right now, you can get exceptions all over the place. So, but this is his 5th year and probably his last year, and could have a chance to be a pretty good year too.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask you about too, because like kind of hitting on what I said, I was a guy who came in towards the end of his freshman year, so I obviously covered him since his sophomore year in 19 until now. But as a guy that's covered him, covers recruitment as well, going back to the very beginning. What are your kind of thoughts and initial kind of thoughts on the career he's had at Carolina so far? Because I know that injury really affected him. And when you look at the seriousness of that injury, I mean, you can't really blame him. A guy that, injured what he injured as a wide receiver, that's a tough injury to come back from.
It is. And I think it has been a challenge for him, maybe more than he will say publicly, only just because guys, if you're an athlete and you're coming back from injury, you don't say, man, it's really tough. It's affecting my mind. You don't get athletes talking like that very often. They are the power of positivity is so ever present in an athlete's daily regimen, in their mind, in the locker room, in the position group rooms, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that has been the case with Antoine Green. But I also think he has reached a point where none of that's an issue anymore. I think the injury and whatever effects he had from that, trying to overcome that, both mentally and physically, I think that stuff is way, way, way behind him. We saw him it's kind of weird to say a guy in his fourth year broke out, but we saw him sort of break out at the midpoint of last year. He had that stretch of, 6 receptions in a few games and played well late. I think he ended up with 31 receptions last year. Yeah, for over 600 yards, caught about 5 TDs. Mac Brown said in the spring that they have 2 elite receivers. Everybody knows Josh Downs. So the other one's obviously Antoine Green. They don't really have anybody else back, right? That's played a whole lot. Justin Olsen played a lot of reps, didn't get a lot of targets. He said Antoine Green can be elite. Now, Antoine Green is a 5 to 6 reception a game guy, and he had 5 touchdowns last year in the season, but he didn't really start turning it on until about midpoint of the year. If he's a 6 reception a game guy, and he's an 8 TD on the season guy, then suddenly, okay, it makes Josh Downs better because Josh's touchdown and yardage production dropped last year because of the way teams are covering him. I think maybe then part that's why Antoine's numbers went up. If he can be that guy, all things equal, the way that they're being defended, it's going to make Josh a lot better. And I also love the Bryson Nesbitt component when they split him out from tight end and put him in the slot and what that can do for these guys. I think Antoine has a chance to have a really good year. He runs good routes, got to catch the ball. He's got to see, it's like a batter in baseball, watch the ball hit the bat. I love baseball, and I watch the Orioles play, and sometimes a really good hitter swings and misses at a breaking ball, and his nose is pointed into left field, and the ball's not in the catcher's mitt yet. He ain't hit the ball. Receivers got to be able to catch the ball in. Their hands have to be magnets for the ball. I think that those are still things that Antoine is working on and perfecting at a college level. And we should continue to see progress from him, in part because all that other stuff's behind him. Yeah. So it sort of releases him and frees him up to really take big steps forward and be the kind of guy, approach being the kind of guy that people thought he would have been prior to the injury, because there were big time expectations from him when he arrived.
Yeah, there definitely was. And I think frame-wise, when you look at him, 6'2", 207, he's a big kid for those that have been around him and close to him on a football field. When you got all those pads on too, he is a very formidable guy at that wide receiver position. And I think what he brings and what he can bring to next year's team, what he brought last year in a lot of ways, is that big playability. I think Josh Downs has it as well. When you dive a little bit deeper into Antoine Green's stats, second on the team in receptions last year, 612 yards, 5 touchdowns. Even better, though, ranked second in the ACC and 12th nationally, averaging 19.7 yards per reception, and also ranks as the 5th best average in school history for a single season with a minimum of 30 catches in terms of that as well. So he is a guy last year that proved to be, when he caught a ball, is usually for a big chunk of yards. A lot of times was kind of used as their deep threat under. They tried to get Justin Olsen in that position at times as well. Maybe didn't have as much success with him there. But Antoine Green showed that, hey, I can be that guy. Now, there's some games and maybe some moments last year that I think Antoine would maybe like to have back. I think dropping the ball at times has still been something he's at times struggled with and needs to still get over. But AJ, what are your expectations for him going into this year? Because I really do think he has the ability to get even better, be a veteran, be a leader on this wide receiver core, on this offense. And I think he's got an ability to have a even bigger and better year this year if he can, is healthy, which I think he is, and can play with a lot more confidence, because I think that talent and that ability is definitely in there.
So I'm glad you mentioned his size, because I've stood next to him when he's in full pads too. And he reminds me of those horrible linebackers you hated to go up against in high school, because you knew they were going to just shred you to pieces, right?
Yeah.
He's a big guy. He's sturdy. He's strong. He looks the part. And because of that, and because I think he's fully distanced himself from the injury, I think he can take a beating. I think he can handle contact. And that leads me to believe he could be a really good possession receiver. Mm-hmm. You need to have a possession receiver. You need to have a bailout receiver. And I think he could be that guy, but he combines that with the ability to get past the defender. If he becomes a really good possession receiver, everything's going to have to be covered. And if he has that little hitch move where if he can run the kinds of patterns, I think, the kind of routes where he can get open downfield more by being more of a possession receiver. So imagine an experienced guy, an older guy, a grizzled guy, a smart guy, combining possession receiver stuff with the ability to go 70 yards for a touchdown. Over the top. Not catch it 5 yards away and burn like Josh Downs. I'm talking about go over the top. Dive and catch that 7.5 yard pass when you need 7 yards for the first down. Go over the middle and jump, leap up while you're covered heavily and grab that 6 yard pass or 12 yard pass for the first down. There are a lot of different things I think is in his bag, and healthy and confident and free with all the junk that was holding him back a little before, all gone now. I think he could show that he's that kind of guy. And if he is that kind of guy, it's going to make Josh Downs better. And if Bryson Nesbitt explodes the way we think he might explode, that's another element. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of year he has. We don't root for these kids. We don't root for the team or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, it wouldn't bother me to see Antoine Green rack up 60 receptions this year, 1,000 yards, 8-10 touchdowns, just because I love seeing guys stick it out. Mm-hmm. And he stuck it out in an era where guys are bouncing around all over the place. He stuck it out. He's fought through some difficulty, a lot of challenges. And if he were to finish up his career at Carolina, having that kind of year and then winning some games for him, for his sake, I think that'd be a really cool story. And I would enjoy writing something like that in November and December.
Agreed, AJ. Agreed. Couldn't have said it any better. I think it's a good place to wrap this one up as well for our Antoine Green edition of our offseason UNC football ISO series. Again, click our YouTube channel after this if you want to watch some more. Click our playlist tab and you'll see it ISO series labeled. You can find all the ones we've done, even going back to last year in basketball as well. Quick shout out to Rogue Shop. Check them out, therogueshop.com. Use that promo code TARHEELS10 to save on your order. Can't recommend their products enough. Fantastic stuff. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well so you know every single time we upload. See you guys in the next one. Thanks.